Welcome, citizens of the Internet. We are Anonymous, a decentralized international activist and hacktivist collective known for our cyber operations against governments, institutions, and corporations. We have no leaders, no central authority, and we operate as a loose network of hackers united by shared ideals of freedom, privacy, and opposition to censorship. Today, we will reveal the methods we use to stay hidden in the digital shadows. 4 years. That's how long a group of hackers were able to stay inside the Starwood Marriott network without being discovered. Oof! How the heck does an unauthorized party stay hidden for this long? Well, in today's topic, we will address popular methods hackers use to stay anonymous online while hiding their digital footprint. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first step is not Matrix-level hacking as much as we'd love it to be. It's actually physical security. Physical security is also referred to as operational security or OPSEC. So if you're one of those military guys, you probably know about this. Or if you're just some random weird IT nerd, well, you're probably gonna need to know about this too. Because guess how many times it takes to be successfully identified? Once, one time. Take this guy right here, the infamous Dread Pirate Roberts, or Ross Ulbricht, who founded the Silk Road, a billion-dollar underground, dark marketplace for drugs and other stuff. How did he get caught? Well, no, it wasn't through some extreme Matrix-level glitch hacking. It was his OPSEC. He got caught in a San Francisco public library, his go-to place to conduct his fraudulent activity. And well, he did some bad things such as often bragging about his work on his LinkedIn page using oblique verbiage, and he used his real photograph for his fake ID. These are just a few of the critical elements which pieced together and led to his downfall. And these aren't technical in nature. It's habits and public interactions that led to Ross's downfall. It is essential hackers be aware of their online and offline habits, including where they use and connect their computers, their writing style, their social media posts, and their social interactions in general. Basically, someone who's the exact opposite of me here sharing this information. So an attacker has their basic physical security down. What's next? Acquiring the hacking machine used to conduct your fraudulent offensive activities. First off, buy the machine with the most untraceable and mobile trail possible. Ideally, this is a laptop which is bought using a privacy-focused cryptocurrency form such as Monero or Zcash. Once this machine has been acquired, completely wipe the operating system windows. No more, and immediately buy a USB stick to preload a live operating system. This USB stick right here is a live OS, meaning there is no permanent storage. But you also want to make sure to enable full disk encryption just in case of full compromise when you're installing a live OS. It is important that you choose an OS distribution such as Linux Tails. Linux Tails is a suite of privacy-focused features and functionality which allow an adversary to stay anonymous. So what's the next step, you may ask? That is to go ahead and anonymize your identity and network connection. There are several steps to accomplish this. Any type of unique or pseudo-unique identifier is going to be harmful to a hacker because, well, you can be tracked by that. From a hardware perspective, one of the most well-known identifiers is a MAC address. A MAC address is a serial number issued by device manufacturers. It is used to identify a device on a local network and can be used to help identify the geographical location of a machine in some cases. MAC address spoofing, or MAC address anonymization, uses different MAC addresses to anonymize your identity. There are different ways to accomplish this, such as built-in programs, customized scripts, and built-in tools. In Linux Tails, the MAC address is temporarily changed to a random value for each new session. In addition to MAC address randomization, you're also going to want to anonymize the IP address. What is that, you may ask? An IP address is a network address assigned to all machines when connecting to other networks. To accomplish IP address optimization, services such as VPNs, Tor for web browsing, and proxies can be used. But this is all with strict caution. Each of these methods introduces intermediaries with assumptions of complete trust. VPNs extend a private encrypted network over a public network connection. Tor uses a network of computer nodes to bounce a connection between different nodes across the world, and proxies can alter the location, appearing as if the originating request is coming from the proxy client. All three methods introduce an intermediary or central location, which can log your traffic and send that to an authority. In order to ensure 100% anonymity, you must never really trust a central authority. But in a modern architecture such as the Internet, that's really not realistic. To establish these types of anonymizing services, you could go ahead and use an open source project. For instance, for VPN servers, you can use OpenVPN or Tailscale, and then you can install this on attacker-owned or controlled devices. Or you could just use some sort of third-party provider. For Tor, you can download the Tor project, or use a distribution like Tails, which already has Tor routing enabled by default. A hacker can layer each anonymizing service upon each other. So a program like proxy chains can be used to route internet traffic through a list of proxies on top of the Tor network. To set up this demo, I went ahead and edited the proxy chain's config file and set the chain to dynamic setting, which excludes all dead proxies. Then I also enabled DNS requests to be proxied through the proxy chain, and I wrote down the default proxy server, which is the SOCKS5 through our loopback address. Let's proceed to go ahead and start up proxy chains here. First thing we need to do is make sure that Tor is on, so we can go ahead and do a service Tor start. Okay, once this is on, we can go ahead and go to our proxy chains, and we're going to go ahead and use DuckDuckGo. Now this will take a few minutes, or it won't take anything at all. To see where we are coming from, we can use a DNS leak website, and I found this all through an article. So just go ahead, go to DNS leak, and as you can see, we are coming from Romania. So this is a basic way to layer both the Tor network and proxy chains on top of each other to become anonymous. After this step, it is finally time to ensure that you're not really working in the same environment, and that is separation of environments. You have to make sure that you're separating your hacking environment from your normal everyday use environment. A classic example of machine separation is virtual machines and containerization. Use ephemeral or temporary environments. When conducting offensive security activity, it is never a good idea to use one single environment for all activities. Computer-machine isolation ensures evidence can be contained and then destroyed, and this can be really achieved through virtualization. Also, hackers can use a bouncing server to connect to their valuable infrastructure where their offensive tools and data lie, so some cloud party provider that doesn't really care about what happens on their machines. In this way, all the hacker has to do is have an SSH connection into the server after they've anonymized their identity. Even if the bouncing server is destroyed or compromised, the hacker can curate and develop a new one within a matter of minutes. So like I said before, you have to separate your offensive security work from your everyday work environment. And in this case, it's important that you're also randomizing your network connection. To do this, you can go into public Wi-Fi and use wifimap.io, which is a resource to look for public open Wi-Fi networks and make sure that you're randomizing exactly when you're connecting to that Wi-Fi. Remember our good boy Ross? You know what happened to him. Up to this point, I've talked about anonymizing one's identity, but I haven't talked about actual attacks. Let's say a hacker has compromised a network similar to the Starwood Marriott case. How can they go about covering up their online tracks within the network so they're not being detected by any security professionals? Once initial access has been established, it is imperative that attackers limit their offensive activity. It's not a good idea to generate a whole bunch of logs and activity once you've entered into a network. It's about stealthiness. Take a look at the SolarWinds attack of 2021. The alleged adversaries kept their tracks hidden for months by slowly testing their capabilities through the course of those months. Initial access started September 4th of 2019, and then by March of 2020 is when the distribution of Sunburst was deployed, and that took 6 months. In addition, a skilled adversary will analyze network and user behavior and mimic this offensive activity as closely as possible, such as conducting their actions during the proper business hours. Next, hackers will blend their fraudulent activity with common network connections and protocols, such as DNS tunneling. DNS, or the domain name system, is an essential component to a network, translating IP addresses into those web domains. Well, because DNS is essential, it's usually open. So in DNS tunneling, it uses seemingly harmless DNS queries to traverse between a private and public network. A hacker could use an encrypted connection and route their fraudulent activity through DNS. Take DNSCAT2, an open-source command and control framework that lives out on GitHub, which is used to route traffic through DNS. In this demo, I used the Windows machine to simulate a victim and a Kali machine to simulate an attacker. I downloaded the DNSCAT2 utility on GitHub on my Kali machine, and then the victim payload on the Windows machine, which is an executable in this case. So if we go ahead and start the DNSCAT2 server, we need to set the security policy to unencrypted. In a real-world scenario, of course, you wouldn't want to do this, but I'm a script kiddie, so I'm just using this for testing purposes, and also it worked. I'm a script kiddie anyway. Let's go ahead and get moving forward. So if we do set security policy, that will make sure that our security policy is set to unencrypted. Now if we go into our Windows machine, I already downloaded the Windows 32 executable here. I have added the host, which is this machine's IP. Let's go ahead and execute it. And boom, as you can see, we now have a session, and it's an unencrypted session. Now let's go ahead and see if I can get, well, I don't know, Notepad++ or Notepad open. So what we do here is we go into session 1, and then we can see our list of commands here that we can do. For instance, we can ping, or we can get a shell. But let's go ahead and do exec notepad. And as you can see, we now have a notepad opened, and this is all tunneled through DNS. So in a real-world scenario, if this was encrypted, you really wouldn't be able to notice that this fraudulent traffic was going through your network, unless you had some advanced defenses in place. Hopefully in today's video, you've learned something new about how hackers can hide their tracks. Although this was very, let's just say, script kiddie high-level overview, you can see how even people such as the Silk Road founder can be absolutely taken down with one poor decision. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Knowledge is power, but power without wisdom is dangerous. Take what you've learned today and use it to protect yourself, not to harm others. Join our fight for digital freedom and privacy. The choice is yours. Will you remain a sheep in the digital herd, or will you awaken and take control of your digital footprint? Act now. The world is watching. Expect us.